Thank you, Speaker. You would be forgiven to wonder whether that was a contribution from the National Party. But very welcome this amazing support across the chamber. I'd like to congratulate the amazing residents and First Nations custodians who initiated this petition to save this critical piece of koala habitat from being sold, and also congratulate and thank the member for Ballina for her advocacy in bringing this petition and sponsoring it so that we can debate the fact that close to almost 25,000 people that signed this electronic petition in support of this, and how wonderful it is to see that the actions and advocacy of the community and the grassroots support has actually meant that this land, which was the largest piece of privately owned urban unburnt core koala habitat east of the Pacific Highway, has now been jointly purchased by the Koala Conservation Australia and the New South Wales government. It's so rare that we hear the overwhelming calls of people in the community responded to by this Liberal National Government, and it is such a special occasion that we can be here today to be in a situation where the community has been calling for this. Everybody knows that it is absolutely essential that we did it, and the government has acted and responded to that. And if only that happened so often with the petitions that we brought to this chamber. After much of the koala habitat was burnt in 2019, there are only small patches of remaining land to support their populations, and most of this is on private land. The devastating cumulative impacts of bushfires, land clearing, disease, animal attacks and encroachment from residential development was brought into stark relief this month when koalas in New South Wales were officially listed as an endangered species. This petition rightly stirred the passions of tens of thousands of people who do not want to stand by and watch as we drive one of our most loved and iconic native animals to extinction. They stood up and they won. And of course, the campaign to save the koala is not over. As we have heard, there is so much more that needs to be done. And I know that the member for Ballina has been pushing and working with her community and recognised the advocates from the northern part of the state that have all come together and recognised the absolute importance of this change. Of course, the campaign to save the koala needs to continue. The 2021 State of the Environment report painted a very grim picture of the environmental degradation in New South Wales. Land clearing has tripled in the last 3 years, and over 1,000 species are now threatened with extinction. We can and must do more, and as we've heard from the contributions of members on all sides of this chamber here today, there is more that we can do, and it's not the problems that we can't solve. We know that there are solutions there. We know what needs to be done. It is about the will of government to put in the investment and to make the necessary protections and legislative changes needed to provide protections to endangered koalas. And as the member for Balmain said in his contribution, this is not about koalas becoming endangered because of something that we cannot control. This is absolutely controllable, and the reason we are seeing the risk of extinction is as a result of actions taken by successive governments in New South Wales that fails to prioritise the rights of nature. It fails to recognise the need of how we protect those species, those endangered species in our society. And I want to end by saying this. I want to end by saying that I had the joy of spending time driving up from my electorate of Newtown through all of the electorates of the members that have contributed before during the summer holidays. And one of the things that I realise is the most, and I acknowledge the member for Port Macquarie's contribution about the primary school children talking about the importance of protecting koalas, because every time we saw one of those yellow signs that had a koala on it, my daughter felt certain that at any moment a koala was going to come. And she got very excited, squealed with enthusiasm, and then kept her eyes peeled to the side of the road in the middle of the day. I think it was very unlikely that was going to happen, but her eyes were peeled as we were driving up. And so the enthusiasm and the excitement that gave her to know that there were koalas there made me immediately think about the risks that we are doing by clearing that land. And if we don't protect it for future generations, the joy and excitement and connection that young people particularly have of the love of koalas will never be able to be experienced in nature because of our failures to act. And so this petition, the actions of the community stepping up and speaking out on this crucial issue is something that absolutely should be commended, and the Greens 100% support the petition and the amazing community that brought this petition to the chamber today.